almost feel the pain of Tanasia Barnes's life by gazing into her eyes. The Decatur, Illinois 2-year-old was no stranger to pain, starvation, and neglect. Her death in a near freezing, rodent-infested, filthy house is beyond heartbreaking. The investigation into her murder unearthed a tragedy. I'm Dee Dee Gatton, and this is a Project Illinois special report. Illinois' most vulnerable children are dying. Their stories need to be told. The government agencies tasked with protecting our children need to be held accountable as we seek justice for Tanasia.
Tonight, we continue our investigation into the Department of Child and Family Services with the interview you have to see.
Governor, kids are dying in DCFS care. What are you doing to stop it?
We're demanding answers from Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Can you promise me there's going to be change for these children?
This after we received the same statement from his press team for 2 different child deaths. We have his answers now. Tonight, our DCFS investigation finding justice for Tanasia. This after the death of another child with DCFS connections just over a month after Tanasia Barnes died. News Channel 20's Anna Espinosa has the story.
Yesterday, we told you about the tragic death of Jahir Gibbons of Chicago. He had ties to DCFS, and his mother and boyfriend are charged with murder. The governor released this statement saying he wants to add 126 DCFS caseworkers. I caught up with him at the Capitol, and this is what happened. Governor, kids are dying in DCFS care. What are you doing to stop it, Governor? Governor, kids are dying in DCFS care.
Sorry?
Kids are dying in DCFS care. What are you going to do to stop that, Governor?
We've got to work hard not only to change the leadership at DCFS, but also to focus on the safety and security of these children. That's our job in state government.
What is 126 caseworkers going to do?
It's just a beginning. It's absolutely just a beginning.
Can you promise me there's going to be change for these children? It was after this exchange that I realized that this press release is almost exactly the same to the one that the governor's office sent out after a report showing that 98 children with connections to DCFS died last year. So I caught up again with him this afternoon, and I asked him why his office is sending out the same press release for the death of different children. This is what he said.
What kind of differences are you guys going to do in order to differentiate these deaths so that they don't just come up like copy and paste?
Well, one of the reasons that I proposed a fair tax for the state of Illinois, one of the reasons that I have promoted balancing our budgets and paying our bills is because we've got to restaff these agencies that have been hollowed out.
Besides discussing his tax plan, we asked the governor what his timeline is for picking a new director because he has announced a nationwide search is underway right now. This is his answer.
We want to make sure we've got the absolute best people running the agency, and so we'll be making announcements in the near future.
The governor has just 26 days to pick the next DCFS director, and to see the entire exchange between the governor and me, as well as these press releases, you can head over to our website at News Channel 20.
We are still following the case that started it all. It's been 5 weeks since 2-year-old Tanasia Barnes died. A coroner's jury officially ruled her death a homicide yesterday. Her mother, Tawanica Davis, charged with murder, involuntary manslaughter, and endangering the life and health of a child. She has pleaded not guilty. Her boyfriend, Anthony Myers, also charged with murder and endangering the life and health of a child. He also pleaded not guilty.
I do everything I can for my kids now. I would do anything for her.
A family is still waiting for answers after their loved one is mysteriously murdered in Nokomis. Shayna Jarris was just 18 years old when she was brutally stabbed in her own apartment. Now, exactly 24 years later, her murder remains unsolved, and we still don't know who killed her. Tonight, I head back to the scene, searching for answers. At the border of central Illinois, you'll find Nokomis, a quiet community of just over 2,000 people, shaken by an unsolved murder investigation.
She was just a kind, loving, giving person. You know, up until her death, she was that way.
Dwayne Jarris's daughter, Shayna Marie Jarris, graduated from Nokomis High School. Passionate about helping kids and the elderly, she had big dreams.
She wanted to become a nurse and work with children or work with the elderly that had Alzheimer's.
But Shayna's life was cut tragically short. The morning of November 1st, 1995, she was stabbed over 50 times in her own apartment. To this day, police don't know who killed her.
Is it somebody walking amongst us, or is it just a complete stranger?
Friend Belle Smith, like many, wants closure.
I couldn't believe it when I had heard. Why? Why would somebody do this to her? She wasn't a bad person. She stayed out of trouble.
She was just a normal teenager. Like many, she had disagreements with her parents.
She'd reached 18, and I think she felt like she should be out on her own, and so she kind of just left the house and decided to move out, and it was sort of like sudden, and we were just trying to get her to come back home.
Instead, Shayna moved into an apartment with a roommate. This is where Shayna's apartment used to stand. Her father tells us he was pulling up right here when he saw his daughter alive for the very last time. October 31st, 1995, around 9:30 in the evening.
I took my youngest son, Stephen, he was 10 years old at the time, and he went over there to trick or treat. He looked out the window at the car, and I usually used to turn the car light on and wave at her. And I didn't do it that night, and I regret it for the rest of my life that I didn't do that.
The next morning, a horrifying discovery. Dwayne says he's avoided this street for years. Soon he would get news that would change his family forever.
The public needs to understand that the small amount of information could open this case wide open.
Police have consistently received tips over the years, but still no breakthrough, which is why investigators are asking for the community's help.
If they have any information, no matter how small it is, it could really help point us in the right direction.
I think we started locking our doors and being a little bit more cautious. Now it's always in the back of our mind.
It was a big city crime that shocked a small town, and for Shayna's family began a long and painful journey.
I miss her every day. Still, after all this time, think about her all the time, talk to her all the time.
They can only hope new information could put this cold case to rest.
I always give her a kiss like that, and then kiss her like that and tell her she's always in my heart.
And coming up tomorrow night, I investigate any leads that could warm this cold case. If you know anything, there's a reward of up to $10,000 for any information leading to an arrest. Call in Illinois State Police, or you can call Crime Stoppers of Macoupin and Montgomery counties. Here are their numbers.
Somebody came back in the early morning hours and stabbed her to death, slit her throat from ear to ear. They found her laying on the floor the next morning with the front door swinging in the wind.
On this day, exactly 24 years ago, a Nokomis teen was brutally stabbed in her apartment. Decades later, the question still remains, who killed Shayna Jarris? In part 2 of our cold case series, I head back to Nokomis searching for answers.
I was so mad, I just wanted them to find out who did it.
Janelle Jarris was just 15 years old when her older sister, Shayna Marie Jarris, was murdered in her own apartment. She was stabbed over 50 times from just above her breast to her neck. Shayna was just 18.
I don't know anybody who would ever want to hurt her. That's what's so strange about the whole thing.
The story begins on October 31st, 1995. Shayna's father, Dwayne Jarris, stopped by her apartment to take his then 10-year-old son, Stephen, trick-or-treating. It was around 9:30 at night. While Dwayne sat in the car, his son went to the door and got a look inside.
He says there was the two guys were drinking beer, but other than that, he said it was just 4 people sitting around a table.
He says those 4 people included Shayna, Shayna's roommate, the roommate's boyfriend, and a next-door neighbor. Shayna was murdered just hours later. Police say her death resulted from massive blood loss. I was able to find old newspapers which say it was almost 7 in the morning when Shayna's body was found on November 1st, 1995.
I've had people call me and say that They know who killed her, and it always comes out to be that they don't know anything. We had a guy in prison that said he murdered her, but that came out, not to be true.
Since Shayna's murder, not one arrest has been made. Was it someone she knew? Could whoever killed her still be in Nokomis?
But I don't believe they are, because when it happened, everybody went different directions. Everybody that had contact with her in the last 24 hours left the state.
2 days after the murder, the Herald and Review wrote in an article, quote, "Police have said they don't believe the murder was a random act of violence." But when I asked Illinois State Police Special Agent Randy Custer to confirm, he said,
Yeah, at this point in time, I couldn't specify or make a determination whether it was a random act or not.
He's been working on the case for 3 years and is here to spur up a renewed interest.
So often over time, people have a tendency to forget about these cases. And again, the public needs to understand that the small amount of information could open this case wide open, and that's what investigators need.
He says police have consistently received tips in the last 24 years.
I know the investigators early on said in the first 18 months they had over 100 tips called in. And obviously the tips have slowed down in the last decade. But again, that's why we're out here today, hoping that people call in.
Hoping to uncover any secrets this town may have. Hoping to help this family heal.
I've never looked for pity. I've just looked for justice for Shayna. There's going to be a void there forever. But I would just like to see him caught, because I'd like never to happen again to anybody else's child.
A community forever changed, and a family fighting for justice.
It would bring our family comfort just to know that the person that did this is behind bars. I'm still hopeful, and I'll never give up hope. Never will.
And in 1995, the State Journal-Register wrote in an article that the last murder in Nokomis was in 1969. If you know anything about Shayna's case, there is a reward of up to $10,000 for any information leading to an arrest. We've got details on our website, foxillinois.com. New at 9, police identify the 4 people found dead inside a North Dakota business. 2 of them are from right here in Springfield, Lois and William Cobb. They were found dead inside RJR Maintenance and Management in Mandan yesterday morning. Also found dead was their co-worker Adam Fuhrer and boss Robert Fackler. Today, our very own Leslie Moreno sat down with Lois and William Cobb's daughters as they remember their parents. And Leslie, what did they tell you?
Well, Didi, I spoke to Amy Cobb and Breanne Miller, 2 of 4 kids who lost their parents this past weekend, and they want answers, but most importantly, they want justice and closure.
They were true soulmates, and I'm so happy that, as bad as it sounds, I'm so happy that they were able to get together. Me too.
William and Lois Cobb had just purchased their dream home in North Dakota, but their lives, along with 2 others, were cut short.
And he called me before he went to work, and I didn't answer.
With tears in their eyes, Amy and Breanne remember the call no child wants to ever receive.
I called my mom back to back. I called my stepdad back to back. I texted them multiple times, and after what seemed like a lifetime of not receiving anything from them, I finally called her, and from there, it was just a leading investigation for the both of us to figure anything out.
The tragic deaths of William and Lois leave behind 4 children, 3 grandchildren, and their beloved dog Presley. It's an empty void that will remain in their children's life forever.
Just the thought of never seeing him again, but I'm never gonna have a dad to walk me down the aisle when I get married, or meet my kids when I have kids. And for Bree, the hardest thing for me, well, my mom is my best friend for one. I called her every single day, talked to her every single day at least. I have 3 children.
Now Breanne and Amy are searching for answers and justice for their parents.
4 innocent people went to work one day and somebody, for whatever reason, just decided to take all of their lives. And it's a hard thing to process, especially when it's the both of them.
The sisters now putting their lives back together despite the heartbreaking circumstance.
I think that it's probably brought us closer, but it's also, all of us kids are what's going to keep our parents' memories alive.
Now, Amy and Brianne will get to say one last goodbye to their parents. They'll be leaving for North Dakota soon to try and just get some answers. Dee Dee?
Our hearts go out to both them and their families. Thank you for that report, Leslie. Police have not identified a suspect, a motive, or how the victims died. For more on this story, head to our website, foxillinois.com. Tonight, in our top story, this woman is a grandmother. She's a Sunday school teacher and now also an unsolved murder victim. 80-year-old Donna Bricker was found dead in her home in January. Now her daughter is begging anyone with information to come forward.
I know Jesus was with her. I know Jesus was with her when that happened, and she just walked away with it.
While Donna's daughter says she might never find closure, she needs to know who would kill her innocent 80-year-old mother. Fox's Rachel Droz has a story. Rachel.
It's the only homicide that we know of to happen in Springfield this year. Donna Bricker was found inside her West Elliott home, which you can see right behind me, in early January. Her family were the ones that actually found her body early that Sunday morning. The coroner ruled her death a homicide but won't release the cause of death. Police are still looking for her killer. Now today I talked to her family and friends. They tell me that they are still trying to process this shocking situation.
Our whole family is very close.
Which is why news of her mother's murder hit Debbie Squires hard.
It was unbelievable. I don't even know if I really even understood what was going on right then.
Donna Bricker's family and friends remember her as caring and kind.
You often hear people say, well, nobody had a bad thing to say about him, but this was absolutely true in this situation about Donna Bricker.
They say Donna was also forgiving.
One of the people in Sunday school said that probably knowing Donna, that as she took her last breath, she forgave that person for what they did to her.
So this crime has them very confused.
Why would somebody do that to Donna when she would do anything in the world for anyone?
Tonight, Donna's family and friends are asking the public for help.
If there's someone that knows anything, just the smallest thing that might trigger something in your mind, please come forward and share it with the police.
Even if you think it really wasn't anything, it needs to be checked out.
And as Donna's loved ones wait for answers, they do say they have peace of mind knowing Donna is watching over them.
We all said that when we heard this, that the Lord must have said to her, a job well done, welcome home.
Again, the coroner says that she does know the cause of death, but she is not releasing it at this time. That is because it is an active police investigation. Reporting live in Springfield, Rachel Droz, back to you.
Such a sad story. If you know anything about this woman, Donna Bricker, and her death, or if you might have seen anything, call Springfield Police. We'll have that number on our website.
We are also learning more tonight about this missing 16-year-old Dominic Walker. He was last seen in Decatur Saturday, May 11th at 3 in the morning watching TV. His family says he has high-functioning autism. Let's go to News Channel 20's Anna Espinosa live in Decatur now. And Anna, you spoke to his family. What are they saying tonight?
Tells me that they are extremely heartbroken and worried as their son Dominic Walker has been missing for almost a week now. The 16-year-old with autism was last seen inside this Decatur home where his father lives. Now, I spoke with his father, but he didn't feel comfortable speaking on camera. But he did tell me that he has a great relationship with his son. And the day before Dominic went missing, they spent time watching movie trailers and talking about all the movies that they had plans to watch throughout the month. I also spoke with Dominic's mom, who tells me that she is heartbroken and that this has been the longest 5 or 6 days of her life. Now, The police tell us that they have continued to canvass this area, but they're still trying to figure out exactly what happened to Dominic Walker. For now, live in Decatur, Anna Espinosa, back to you.
All right, thank you for that update, Anna. If you have any information on Dominic Walker or where he might be, please call the Decatur Police, the number there on your screen. Breaking news out of Decatur tonight. This where Fairview Park, it's been shut down by police. Let's head over to News Channel 20's Anna Espinosa live there with what we know right now. Anna?
Stacey, right now I'm at Fairview Park, and as you can see behind me, there's an extremely large police presence here with Decatur Police present as well as Decatur Park Police. And inside here, this park, I see Dominic Walker's parents. Dominic Walker went missing almost a week ago. He was last seen inside his father's Decatur home, which is just 6 minutes from here. And earlier today, I spoke with Dominic's father, and he told me that he has a great relationship with his son. Now, it hasn't been confirmed that by police yet. We have called police and asked them if there was anything found here around the lake, because as you can see, there are police officers around the lake, and there is also what appears to be a red article of clothing. Now, we know that Dominic Walker was last seen wearing a red sweatshirt. Now, we have called Decatur Police and Park Police, but we're still waiting to get more information. And like I was saying, I spoke with Dominic Walker's parents just a couple hours ago, and they tell me that they're extremely worried about their son. But for now, live in Decatur, Anna Espinosa, back to you.
We're continuing to follow breaking news tonight after a body was pulled from Dreamland Lake in Decatur.
We have now learned the body is of a missing teen. News Channel 20's Amanda Henderson's live in Decatur with what we know right now. Amanda?
John, Stacey, it is a devastating ending to nearly a week-long search for that 16-year-old Dominic Walker. It was confirmed by his father on a private social media site that it was indeed him that they pulled out of a lake just inside Fairview Park, which is now closed. But there were tons of officials out there just a few hours ago, including Decatur Police Department, Decatur Park Police, as well as the Chief Deputy Coroner for the county. Now, at this time, they have not released an official statement from the county. We are expecting that tomorrow morning, but both of Dominic's parents were out there whenever his body was being taken out of the lake just a couple hours ago. Understandably very emotional at the time. We will continue to bring you any updates that are provided to us. For now, live in Decatur, Amanda Henderson, News Channel 20 at 10.
Thank you, Amanda. Our heart going out to that family. Now, this is a developing story. We will continue to bring the latest updates as soon as they become available, both on the air and on our website.
New developments. We have now learned the cause of death for 16-year-old Dominic Walker. The Macon County coroner says the teen drowned in Dreamland Lake in Decatur. His body was recovered last night. News Channel 20's Amanda Henderson's live at the lake with the very latest. Amanda?
Stacey, 16-year-old Dominic Walker died by drowning, but the Decatur Police Department is still investigating what exactly led up to his death. It's something that the people of Decatur have seen one other time.
His prayers are with him.
In the midst of the peace Fairview Park provides, Malia McGee takes in moments with her son, a person she says she cannot imagine life without.
You always want to protect them. It doesn't matter if they're your kids or not your kids. You want every kid safe.
And she can't imagine what 16-year-old Dominic Walker's family is feeling just a day after finding out their son drowned in that same park.
I have no idea how the family would be dealing with or coping with the loss of their child.
For 5 days, crews powered through to bring Dominic home.
We had seen he had a flyer on there, or he had been talking about his son was missing.
But that is no longer the case, after officials identified a body found in the park's lake as Dominic. It's a case this town has seen before.
I mean, this isn't the first one.
But it doesn't make it any less painful, especially when a child is involved.
And I think it's really sad and overwhelming to even think about finding someone there.
Now a town is left reeling, hoping they can all find some peace from another loss.
There's no words going to describe how anybody feels.
The Macon County coroner did report that at this time, no foul play is suspected in Dominic's death. For now, live in Decatur, Amanda Henderson, News Channel 20 at 10.
All right, thank you for that update, Amanda. A GoFundMe page has been set up online to help raise money for Dominic's funeral costs. It was started by his sister.
Back to exclusive video you'll see here on News Channel 20. This happened back in February, a traffic stop that quickly escalated into a dangerous chase on the streets of Springfield. A U.S. Marshal dragged by a car a half mile. Justin Carter breaks down the dramatic video.
Just east of Barclay Road, Sangamon County. Black Mazda SUV.
It took minutes. A female driver ordered out of her SUV in a traffic stop in Riverton. The officer then notices someone hop into the driver's seat.
Get your hands up. Get your hands up. Hands up! You try to drag one of the marshals with him.
Look closely to the right of your screen. A U.S. Marshal hanging off the side of the car as the suspect just shoots down Prairie School Road. They get about a half mile down the road when he lets go, nearly struck by a police cruiser.
The authorities were approaching this defendant because he had a $200,000 warrant out for his arrest.
That suspect, identified by police as 31-year-old Robert Collins, allegedly seen here bobbing and weaving through traffic on Sangamon Avenue. At one point, you see him shooting over to the other side of the road, missing semi-trucks and several cars.
Heading now westbound down Sangamon Avenue, bounced off the guardrail. He's heading the wrong way into traffic.
To the busy Dirksen Parkway, then Clear Lake Avenue, where he then gets out and starts to run. Police arresting him a short time later.
Thankfully, no one was severely injured in this case, but just another example of the dangers that law enforcement face each and every day.
That was Justin Carter reporting. Court documents show the woman in this video did face minor charges. Collins will be back in court for a hearing on attempted murder charges next month. If you want to watch this full video, just go to our website, newschannel20.com.
And new tonight at 6, over the next 5 years, Illinois will gradually implement its new $15 minimum wage. But now, roughly 60 disabled workers that are part of a program with Springfield's Goodwill are out of jobs. The nonprofit blaming that wage hike. News Channel 20's Nikki McGee spoke with one worker who's lost his only source of income. Nikki?
Well, here in my hand, I have a copy of the letter sent out to participants letting them know that come July 1st, they would no longer be getting paid. Now, this comes 7 months before the first minimum wage increase is set to take effect, and now some are questioning why.
Meet Nicholas Braun. He struggles with autism, cerebral palsy, and Tourette's. For the last 6 years, he's worked at Goodwill as part of their vocational rehabilitation program, which gives jobs to the disabled.
And I love Goodwill, you know. I like the people there, and, you know, it was a good atmosphere for me.
A job his mom says gave him purpose.
I saw him grow in ways that he could not have grown otherwise. I saw him become a self-sufficient adult.
But July 1st, that position came to an end. Goodwill says they can no longer afford to pay these workers due to the new minimum wage, which starts going up in increments beginning in January.
I use the excuse of it going to $15. Well, that's not until the year 2025. So I really don't see how that affected him.
By making the changes now, we can start offsetting the expense that we're incurring, not only through Voc Rehab, but the other things that we're doing in the organization.
Participants can still come in without pay for developmental learning activities. But so far, Nicholas says that's consisted of drawing and working on math problems.
I'd rather be working, making my money like I used to do.
Goodwill's president says they are still working to improve those programs as part of this transition.
It is a change, but the blessing to all of this is that we're keeping the doors open to still provide the service.
I cried about it. It's like, I don't understand why they're doing this, you know?
For people like Nicholas, partially they relied on this program to help get them to and from work by providing transportation. They say finding that in another job will be hard to do. Live from Springfield, I'm Nikki McGee. Back to you.
Well, follow up now. Disabled employees are set to get their paychecks back after a story that we brought you first about the Land of Lincoln Goodwill. News Channel 20's Nikki McGee's been following the story. She joined us now with this live update. Nikki?
Well, last week I brought you a story about Nicholas Braun, who relied on a job at this Goodwill for the last 6 years. One day he was told by the company that workers like him would no longer have jobs. However, since then, Goodwill is changing their tune, saying they're now going to reinstate all of those workers' jobs.
Nicholas Braun struggles with autism, cerebral palsy, and Tourette's. For the last 6 years, he's held a steady job at Goodwill, sorting donations and merchandise.
I mean, I love Goodwill, you know. I like the people there, and, you know, it was a good atmosphere for me.
With him being able to get up, go to his job, do his job, it was perfect for him.
But in the middle of June, he got a letter saying due to the minimum wage increase set to start going up in January, they could no longer afford to pay their vocational rehabilitation program workers after July 1st.
This decision has to be made and implemented in order to keep the doors open, keep people employed, keep our mission viable, and keep going.
The layoffs come despite the president and CEO consistently getting a pay raise over the last several years. But today, the Land of Lincoln Goodwill announced they've reversed their decision and will once again pay these workers. However, State Senator Andy Benar says he's still calling for a full review of the nonprofit, which receives state money.
Frankly, she was using the minimum wage increase, which is a pro-worker move by the General Assembly and Governor Pritzker. She was using that as an excuse to fire workers.
Now Nicholas' mom says she's thrilled not only for him, but for his disabled coworkers also getting their jobs back.
Thank you for reaching out, Channel 20 and the other news stations, for getting this out there in the public. It's something that needed to be done. Hopefully we'll get Goodwill on the right track and save some jobs.
Well, with this reversal, this means about 12 employees will once again be getting paid. Live from Springfield, I'm Nikki McGee. Back to you.